I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 7, Episode 5.
Or Episode 147 if you're counting.
Good to see everybody again. Thank you as always to the Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this show and all kinds of other stuff happen all the time. It's awesome. New stuff went up for Patreon contributors and now actually is public, so things like the request review of Dual Parallel Trouble Adventure.
Oh, you got it right that time.
I did. I actually remembered the full name of it on one sitting, and a brand new episode of Seeing Sentai just went live.
Yes, you're back on Seeing Sentai. I am happy you're back on Seeing Sentai.
I'm happy too. I finally got to an episode where they first started doing Super Sentai dances.
Yes.
Granted, it's not happening during the closing credits, and they don't do it again. But they do it the one time.
But it's the first time it shows up in the show.
It is absolutely the first time it shows up in the show, and it starts that precedent of it becoming like a thing.
And I think that's important in light of this weekend. They showed the 2000th showing.
Yes.
2000th episode in the Super Sentai franchise.
Right, exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get to 2,000 episodes. We're barely up on 147.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be here a while before we get there.
Looks like people have found really creative emoticons here. I'm really glad that it shows up here in the chat on screen, all the really creative emoticons.
Yep.
So what's happening between us? I have no idea what's going on in my own life.
What is going on?
Well, my hair's not green anymore.
No, your hair's not green anymore.
Well, it's at least doing wonders for the
green screen.
Here.
You're no longer ghosting.
Yeah, I'm no
thanks
longer
to
having
the power
to fight it.
of hair dye.
Yeah. Real life gets in the way sometimes, but hopefully this is not a permanent thing because I like unnatural colors.
Yeah, for now I will have to carry the torch for different colored hair.
Yeah.
With my somewhat reddish hair now.
Somewhat reddish, orangey, brown. I have no idea what color it is. I don't even know.
Let's call it off red.
Off red, off brown, off orange.
It's just off. I'm an off person. That's
Clearly.
just what it is.
We're gonna be talking later. I hate to talk about what our topics are going to be, but talking later about the Tokyo Game Show, like it's happening right now.
Because the funny part about it is, looking at our Facebook timelines today's the 1-year anniversary of us going out to Japan last time.
Exactly, yeah. And last year we did the Tokyo Game Show, and the funny thing about it is that I don't really think this is necessarily relevant to our topic later. It doesn't actually take place in Tokyo anymore.
No, that's the funny part about it.
It takes place in the neighboring city of Chiba at Makuhari Messe. So, I'm kind of sad we're not there again this year, but then another part of me is like, I never want to fight those crowds ever again.
No, those are the scariest crowds ever. For any of you Tokusatsu fans out there, if you were watching a couple of episodes back with the camera monster in Zyuohger where they were fighting there, that's Makuhari Messe.
Yeah. All the same, I think the journalism days, which are the Thursday and the Friday, are far better days to go.
Much less crowded.
Than on the public days, because we didn't have press badges or anything.
So we had to go on public
days, and that's horrifying. I went to the Tokyo Game Show 10 years ago. Oh my god, I can't believe it was that long ago. In 2006, before they moved it to Makuhari Messe, and it was at Tokyo Big Sight. And I guess they had to move it out of there because Tokyo Big Sight is enormous, but clearly it's not enormous enough for the Tokyo Game Show.
Oh yeah, because this thing was like several airplane hangars long of just nothing but game vendors and swag and booth babes, and I was happy. But, I mean, what was funny about it, just as a bit of an anecdote, is I don't know if you guys can tell there in the chat, but sometimes I get mistaken for Asian. That happens a lot here in town. It happened way harder over there.
Never mind, this is Hispanic Celebration Month or whatever, or so Twitter tells me. I don't know.
It's 16. Tomorrow, actually.
The day?
Yeah, tomorrow's actually the day, 16th of September.
Well, anyway, you should be embracing that.
Well, point being, when we were over there, we went specifically to the YouTube booth that they had there, and they were giving out free tote bags, and you were walking in front of me, and they see you coming, and the booth babe hands you your bag, and she tells you, "Oh, thank you." You know, very, very hard trying to pronounce that in English, and then she sees me right behind you, hands me the bag, and goes, "Oh, arigato," and I'm like, I just took the bag. I didn't want to ruin it for her.
Yeah, well, that kind of happened a lot. But at the same time, it could have just been she didn't know what to say to you, so she just said thank you the best way she knew how. She could have just not been able to tell and was confused and just went with default arigato.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I wanted to play up the fact that I don't want to ruin the idea that she might think I'm Japanese, so I just did the most Japanese guy thing I could think of and not make eye contact and take the bag and walk away silently.
Yeah, because really, you'll find if you ever visit Japan, let's say you're shopping at a convenience store, right? They tell you thank you for shopping there, and nobody responds with, well, also thank you. Thank you for doing your job. Nobody thanks the service people for doing their jobs.
That's kind of weird to me, but I get it. Mm-hmm. It's a thing, but I mean that's them. That's their culture.
Yeah. But all the same, super polite. Everybody at Tokyo Game Show is super polite, except for when you're trying to push through the crowds. They don't care.
Because we're going to talk about it a little later. We tried to arrive around the time that Square Enix was going to make their announcements, and there was
still last year,
last year, and you could not expect a thicker throng of people, like literally this close to one another, sandwiched together.
It didn't help that it was for 14. There was about to be a really big update, and they had the main face of the development team, Yoshi P, up on stage right at that moment in time, and I was like, I want to see Yoshi P, and I'm like, well, there he is. Bye. And like, you couldn't fall down if you wanted to, because the crowd would push you back up.
I was trying to get as close as I could to take a picture for your sake, and there was such a strong current of people just trying to get past it. I ended up it was like a human river, honestly, and I was being pulled through. I was not moving my own body half the time.
I'm sure that no one was, and nobody really knew why they were doing it. It was just like, by that point.
You remember the layout. I was in the human river past Square Enix, and I got off somewhere around Bandai Namco, which was about half a hangar away.
Yeah.
So if that tells you anything, people really wanted to see 14 stuff.
Well, all the same, was there anything else cool going on right now?
Let's see, early in the week they had the Rurouni Kenshin Kyoto Inferno showing. For anybody interested, they still have showings available for the third movie, The Legend Ends, there at your local theaters. Check your places for that. We're definitely going to check that one out, because I very much love that series. First one's coming out on DVD soon.
Very soon, yeah. Good
very
job,
happy for
Funimation. Kind of riding the coattails of last week's news about Funimation. They're doing a solid job of doing these movie releases.
I'm just saying, Funimation, there's another series Takeru Sato had some colorful characters in it. Might want to look into it, just maybe. Just get on it.
It's funny you say that, because I don't know if you had this in your follow-ups or not. If not, I'm going to be jumping right to it anyway, but some of the more recent Sentai series have suddenly shown up on Japanese Netflix.
Yeah, that was something I was going to bring up, and we'll go ahead and say that before we get into that. What the hell, Netflix? Because people over in the eastern part of the world have access to that if you have a Netflix account. They've got American descriptions for, like, what is it, Gokaiger?
English descriptions, yes.
Well, yeah, English descriptions for Gokaiger, Kamen Rider O's, several different Sentai team-up movies and Rider movies, All Riders vs. Daishocker, and it's like, just put the subs on it. Let us have it. Legally.
But when it comes
we will pay.
Josh, you realize, though, when it comes to Super Sentai, you still have to go through Saban for distribution within the U.S. because they own the rights to the distribution of that footage within North America.
I get that, but that doesn't make it freaking right.
Well, you have to make sure Saban feels like they're getting something out of the distribution, because otherwise...
By something you mean money.
Yeah, because otherwise they think, well, they're cutting into our Power Rangers brand. I just feel like that's not going to happen for a while.
Yeah, well, it's
not until they get a little farther in the DVD distribution of other Super Sentai series, maybe. If that starts to pick up, which it seems to be doing a pretty okay job so far, then maybe. We'll see. In any case, I guess that's about it for what's been going on with us.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the show.
Yeah, so, show and stuff, right? So, this is kind of part of just a smaller part of the last news story that we're going to get into, but Monster Hunter.
Yes.
Capcom has announced apparently they're making a Hollywood adaptation
of Monster
Hunter, and talk about what that could possibly be, how they could possibly adapt it. Is it a good idea? How could it be adapted well? Lots of options here to talk about.
Yes, our second story for the evening. Interesting news coming out of Fox. They've optioned the rights to Stan Lee's biopic. Of course, Stan the Man Lee, the biggest figurehead Marvel Comics has ever had, responsible for the creation of numerous characters. We're going to talk to you guys about what the movie is planning on being through Fox and whether or not that's a good idea.
And then finally, as we were saying a little earlier, it's Tokyo Game Show time. They just started the second day, day 2 of Tokyo Game Show. It's still one of the 2 business days, and then this weekend is the public days, and we'll be talking about what has already been discussed and what we can expect to be discussed over the next 2.5 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of that. All right.
A lot of stuff going on over in Japan right now.
But we're not there.
No, we're not there. But what are we doing right now?
We're doing follow-ups.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get into it.
Give me something to work with. What?
No precedent. Full-blown Justice League. Get it up there. All right. So we're starting with a lot of new, interesting Justice League news. The first thing being, this was tweeted out from Zack Snyder yesterday. We got our first look at the rumored tactical bat suit from the upcoming Justice League movie coming out next year. Not sure how to feel about it. You can see it there in the top corner. Very much a lot of people calling, hey, Snyder, you know you're doing Batman, not Night Owl again, right?
Yeah, because he did already do this suit.
Yeah, because if you look really closely at the cowl, 1, he's already got the goggles on, but 2, if you look at the shape right here along the horn ridges, it really does look like they just remolded Night Owl's cowl.
Well, how can I put this in a way that doesn't sound totally douchey? The original idea behind Watchmen was that it was supposed to be Justice League initially, and then they were like, oh, this is way too dark for Justice League. Make these all new original characters. Right. And then they did. So maybe this is acceptable. I don't know. I don't like it for Batman.
Like, really, the one thing that gets me about it, aside from the little aesthetic pieces here and in the neck area, it's the goggles. The goggles throw me off.
Yeah,
there are better ways of implementing eyes on Batman. We've seen that much in the games. Now, as for the suit itself, it's a little tattered in places, but it's not too dissimilar from stuff we've seen in, like, Arkham Origins, which is what I was campaigning for even when we heard about Batman vs. Superman to begin with. So I don't hate the suit. It's really the mask that throws me off, because that's what screams, I'm Zack Snyder!
Yeah, I get that.
So that's the thing that I get there. Okay, moving on to other related Justice League news. We've got word from Henry Cavill's management company that they have confirmed that they will be going ahead with a Man of Steel sequel. The solo sequel with just Superman.
Well, they've been talking about that for a few years now, and, like, they didn't do it, so...
Well, they're saying they've confirmed it.
Okay. I don't believe them, is what I'm saying.
No, I totally get that. I wouldn't believe them either. I mean, why would you?
Because they're, like, going in so hard trying to tackle a Batman movie, and the Justice League movie, and the Wonder Woman movie, and they're planning all these several different things, which is something Marvel has been good at, but DC has not proven themselves to be good at it. So right. I don't know that that's their strong point. I don't know what their strong point is anymore, but well, there you go.
Now, it's funny we bring up Watchmen because also related to that, over on the Flash end of things with the Flash solo movie, they've gone ahead and gotten Billy Crudup, who was Dr. Manhattan there in Watchmen, to play Henry Allen, the Flash's father, there in that movie. So there's more of a Watchmen. See, it's weird how, yeah, we get it. DC's connected and Watchmen was distributed through DC, but do you have to get the same people back? Like, you got the comedian as Bruce Wayne's dad. Now you've got Dr. Manhattan as the Flash's dad. Like, I'm starting to see a pattern here. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It's a little
uncomfortable.
It's a little uncomfortable, to say the least. Okay, but let's not bother with that anymore. Let's move on to some Marvel news to get that out of here.
I'm trying to.
Okay, so of course, as many people know, Captain America: Civil War is now out on Blu-ray and DVD. That was as of this Tuesday. Go out, get it if you haven't seen it. What's wrong with you? We saw it twice already.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely go ahead and pick that up. But over on the TV end of things, we've got our first official look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Ghost Rider, which we have here for you.
Somewhere.
The modern version of Ghost Rider that's just come into the comics the last few years, Robbie Reyes being the civilian form. The mask looks a little bit different from the comic book version. It actually looks a little closer to the original Nicolas Cage version.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I still see most of the kind of contouring that's there in the comics now.
I need to see it in motion, I think.
I agree. Admittedly, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been running promos for the show, but we have yet to see the Ghost Rider in action.
Right.
So far, it's just been his vehicle, that nice ride he's got there, with the flaming wheels, which is nice. They have actual practical flaming wheels as opposed to the Nicolas Cage version where it was all CG.
Oh, they lit their wheels on fire.
That's awesome. Actual effects always look better.
Almost always, yeah.
Almost always. Okay, so let's move on to some other news. Over with Star Trek Discovery got delayed.
It's a lot of delays happening.
I know.
For things that people legitimately want. Why does that keep happening?
I don't know, but we're going to have to wait even longer now. We had just gotten that bit of news.
Well, I never felt like they had given us enough news, I feel like they just kept stalling, like, we've totally got something, and then they kind of finally had to come to that realization within their own development team of, oh crap, we have to tell them something because we don't have anything.
It's just a little delayed. It's still good. It's gone. I know. That's basically how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to other things. We were talking about Funimation earlier, so of course, right now, live over on Funimation.com, you can go there right now to book your tickets for Shin Godzilla, which will be coming out in theaters next month. Funimation's been counting down the days on their social media sites. I'm not even going to interrupt. Shin Godzilla, everybody. Here he is.
Oh my god.
No reason. So, Shin Godzilla, or Shin... Well, really, since this is Hideaki Anno directing it, and this is Godzilla, should we rename him Shinji? Doesn't that make sense? I think that makes sense. Because, one, we don't want to get sued.
I'm not having this conversation with you, Josh.
Well, okay, well then I'll have this conversation with... Alright, so Shinji, can I call you that? Okay, great. Have you been happy with the ticket sales as of current? Okay, that's great. Do you plan on doing any press tours, things like that? Will you be showing up at the theaters? No? Okay, that's terrible. Alright, thanks for stopping by. Shinji, everybody. Every week.
What has life become?
It's become Shinji popping in every so often.
Oh my God,
I'm sticking to that name.
No.
Okay, so let's move on to some other things. Okay, over on finally some positive Pacific Rim 2 news.
Oh,
so
okay.
We got some casting going right now. It was just announced earlier today that they've cast the female lead for the movie. Her name is Kaylee Spaney. She is a actress/singer. She's playing the lead in the movie. No word yet on what the role entails, just that she'll be playing opposite John Boyega there as Stacker Pentecost's son. They're looking to start filming in Australia very soon.
Cool.
So, yes, more positive news for that.
Glad that it's still
glad that it's still moving.
Sure, yeah.
Just keep it trucking along there. Okay, over on the game part of things, I didn't want to get too far ahead of it, but I thought it was interesting to bring this up. So we got a little more news from Hideo Kojima on Death Stranding, the game that he's working on.
Which really was part of the Tokyo Game Show stuff.
Well, yeah, I just...
So thanks, Josh.
I just thought this was interesting enough on his own that they're saying that there's going to be some sort of connected gameplay between you and other players, and with a game the way it seems very not quite horror-ish but definitely not action-y, I'm wondering how they're going to do that.
Well, we don't know enough about it yet to be able to determine how that's supposed to work, because it doesn't necessarily sound multiplayer in a sense. Just sounds, like they say, connected. They say that it's not blood or rain or anything coming down from the text. They say that it's strands.
Right.
So if the strands are connecting something, it's symbolic of something, and we don't understand yet, but we're all under the assumption that it's gonna be just this mind-blowing thing, and Kojima himself is like, this is gonna be my best game, guys. He's boasting that this is gonna be his best game. And over here,
we're like, hey, we're behind you, man. We know how they did you over at Konami. Go get them, man. Just do it. Okay, moving on to some other movie news. Again, talking about Watchmen cast. So Jackie Earle Haley was just cast. Of course, he was Rorschach there in Watchmen.
Yeah.
In the Battle Angel Alita live-action movie.
I can't believe they're actually talking about moving forward with it again.
Yes.
Because I thought they weren't going to touch it until...
Well, we've got a director, now we've got Alita, now we've got, apparently Jackie Earle Haley will be playing the villain.
That's right, they handed off directing.
Yes.
Didn't they? So no wonder they're actually moving forward with it, because James Cameron was never gonna move
Never
forward
gonna do it, because he's still off in Avatar Land.
Why are they still...
Not Pandora, Avatar Land. There's a difference.
How long has it been since Avatar came out? 6 years ago?
Something like that? I don't even care.
And, like, if it made so much money, but I'm just sitting here kind of shocked that, like, why hasn't the next movie come out yet? That doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense, Josh. Explain this to me.
You got me.
Okay, never mind.
Alright, moving on to some other things. Let's see here. We've got our first look at the newest Tenchi series over in Japan. We've got the key art available now, thanks to Anime News Network. There you can see all the main cast there: Tenchi, Ayeka, Ryoko, Sasami, Mihoshi, Washu, and the other character that I'm not sure of because I didn't watch that much of the Ryoki series.
Mm-hmm.
But no news yet on the plot, just that both Ayeka and Mihoshi will have a new voice actresses.
Mihoshi. I know you're pronouncing it the way those old voice actors always did. Mihoshi.
That's how it got stuck in my head. You know, when you're that young, you get used to the first thing you hear. So Mihoshi. Do you feel better?
Yes.
Okay. They will have new voice actresses, as unfortunately their respective voice actresses passed away earlier in the year. So
this year, both of them.
Well, specifically Mihoshi, and Ayeka was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But
that
we'll
is
have
very disappointing and very unfortunate, but still moving on with the franchise, obviously.
Just understand, there's no way it can be nearly as bad as Tenchi in Tokyo.
Well, I didn't like Tenchi Muyo GXP. I disliked it.
See, personally, I don't count it. I really don't.
I disliked it more than I disliked Tenchi in Tokyo, although I really disliked Tenchi in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Yeah, but GXP can go die in a fire, so.
Okay, moving on to some Tokusatsu news. We got our first trailer from the Garo end of things with a new spin-off for the character Rei, played by Rei Fujita, who is the Silver Knight Zero. He will have a new series entitled Dragon Blood. His last series, Black Blood, lasted for 6 episodes. That went over very well, so now he's got another spin-off series that will be premiering later on in 2017. A lot of returning cast members there. Very excited for that. I'm always happy when they announce new Garo news.
I know you are, but you still have to catch up on quite a lot.
Well, yeah, because they put out so much more than I can.
And I hear you get so mad about it. Like, I hear you complain about it all the time.
For as weird as it sounds, it's a happy kind of end. Like, there was once a time where we thought we would never get anything more, and now it's like every other month there's a new Garo item to watch. So that still makes me happy. I'm happy to have that problem. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Okay, so moving on to Super Sentai news. So it was just revealed this week that we've got the trademark for the next team that will succeed Animal Sentai Zyuohger. They will be known as Space Sentai Q Ranger.
Okay.
That is space, or Uchu Sentai Q Ranger.
Yes.
So odds are we're going into space.
No, that's not odds. That's fact.
That's fact. But they're still saying.
But then again, there was Forze that was supposed to be space, and they didn't go to space unless there was a movie. So.
Well, technically they go to space with the base, but whatever.
No.
So we'll have that to look forward to. More on that as it develops and we go through the year. Start hearing the rumors about what the suits look like and things like that. And the last thing to bring up with the follow-ups, an interesting commercial from Kamen Rider X8. Of course, Kamen Riders have the tie-in game Ganba Rising over in Japan, which is an arcade game that you can play with collectible cards. You can play as your favorite rider. Apparently, with this new commercial, they revealed how X8 transforms. Apparently, it's a a series of events very similar to Kamen Rider Blade. When he switches the lever on the belt from one side to the other, a projection screen will come out that Exade will have to run through in order to become his level 2 more recognizable form. So it's interesting that they're doing that callback after so many years, specifically just like Blade, where he'll have to...
I don't know if it would be considered a callback as much as they're like, this overlay worked, let's do it again.
I'd call it a callback.
Alright.
But don't call it a callback. I've been here for years. Alright, enough with that. Let's get to our first story.
And first story somewhere in Monster Hunter. Alright. This is the picture that they've been using like all day and night.
Yes.
Since they announced it
all
here
day,
in Tokyo.
every day, Monster Hunter.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a thing, apparently. So they announced here at Tokyo Game Show. And again, we got more Tokyo Game Show news coming up a little later on in the hour.
But this is a creature in and of itself, pardon the pun.
So the Capcom producer... Ryozo Tsujimoto, he announced live on stage during the Tokyo Game Show that this was going to be a thing, that Hollywood is adapting a live action, mind you, not CG, live action Monster Hunter movie.
I don't think that would count out CG. You can't do this
Well, yeah,
without
obviously the monsters are going to be CG, but like this is going to be like real people, probably on
Right.
green screen studios and sets, maybe some real life foresty locations, but my imagining is that there's going to be large hunks of green screen acting and mocap suits and things to that effect.
Well, for starters, let's go over Monster Hunter in and of itself. Of course, they've got another game coming out. They're doing very well here in the States, even better in Japan.
Oh yeah, just killing it in Japan and has been for the past decade thereabouts.
Yes, over in Japan, they've got their Universal Studios attractions where they have, like, giant full-size Rathalos sculptures there that you can take pictures with. They've got all... We've got those little phone charms that our friend gave us.
Yes.
So, it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time right now for them to cash in on this. Now, admittedly, Capcom still has something to prove as far as movies are concerned, because... I will not let them forget that I paid money to go see...
That Chun-Li movie?
Yes, Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li, because what the hell was that, Capcom?
Yeah, honestly.
Was there a place for me to put in more quarters to make the movie better?
Oh, man. I imagine they must be working with Universal. That's my guess.
That would make the most sense.
Since they've shown up in Universal Studios Japan time and again... it just seems like they would be the first studio to want to come in and sweep up the rights. That just kind of makes sense to me.
Well, because if they do it right, if they were to, say, use more space, say over here in the States, at, say, like Islands of Adventure, something like that, to have a small little Monster Hunter land here... That would tie in like gangbusters. People would love to see that, especially if there's a tie-in movie coming out.
And yes, that's the states are getting the monster. Like this is a Hollywood movie.
Right. This is
the
not...
United States would be seeing this movie.
Right. This isn't like Attack on Titan or Full Metal Alchemist, where that's the Japanese making that movie, and then hopefully we'll get it. No, they're saying this is a Hollywood-produced movie, so we would be getting the stateside.
Yes. So that having been said, I feel like, I can't tell whether or not this is a good or a bad thing, but there's only so much story that is told in a Monster Hunter game.
Admittedly, yes.
And, you always make a character that, grows in, you start as somebody that nobody in that town knows, and you don't speak either, you're the silent protagonist, and you grow from nothing into amazeballs, and your armor gets better, and you become a better hunter. And my question is, are we going to get epic whetstoning, or are we going to get epic barbecuing?
Well, somebody at least has to whistle that. Tasty. Yeah, there has to be at least that callback there. Because admittedly now, as far as video game movies are concerned, thankfully we can report Warcraft kind of bumped it up a bit. Because it didn't suck.
No,
it was a little dry in parts.
It wasn't great, but you're right, I don't think it necessarily sucked.
No, it wasn't amazing, but it didn't suck. which is probably the best thing you could hope for.
Did a lot better in China than it did over here, but it was definitely good enough to get it. You can almost guarantee it's going to have its second movie.
Right.
I imagine it doesn't matter what the American audience thinks of a Monster Hunter movie. As soon as it lands over in Japan,
instant box office
billions
smash.
of yen. Billions of yen.
Well, because let's think about it here. We love monster movies over here. That's a given.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
even if you're not familiar with the series, even if you don't play the game or any version of the game up to this point, you'll just see it and be like, man, I want to go see that. Case in point, you know that even though people are getting mad at it, that Matt Damon movie, The Wall one, coming out next year, where it's fighting monsters on the Great Wall of China. I want to see that based off giant monsters.
Yeah,
I like giant monsters.
Yeah.
I like kaiju movies. And this would be a kaiju movie. People will want to see it based...
To an extent, yeah.
People will want to see it based off that.
I want to see it based on the felines.
Yeah, you would have that. You would have tons of...
You're gonna have a kid audience because you have the adorable felines who are gonna help.
You can have the tie-in at Build-A-Bear.
Oh no.
No, shut up. You would do it. You would absolutely go to Build-A-Bear to build your own feline.
Maybe. I'd build it to be Siren because that's what I did in the last Monster Hunter.
See, you would do it.
I made Siren come with me on battles. Oh no.
See, you would totally do it. See, Universal, we're already helping you out here. I hope you're listening because we're doing the work for you. Now, as far as directing goes, there are only two people I can think of that would possibly do it justice in my mind, and that's either Peter Jackson or Guillermo.
I was going to say, you're going to say Guillermo.
Hell yeah, I'm going to say Guillermo because he knows his monsters.
Yeah.
You know he could do it. And of course, Peter Jackson having what at his disposal, you would need that kind of CGI and technical prowess to be able to get these battles looking and feeling the way we know from personal experience what it's like there in a Monster Hunter game.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're really there at the height of a hunt, it's fast-paced. It's very frantic. You know, you've got you and, say, you've got a posse of friends together, and you're trying to get the last of that Rathalos armor. You need everybody on your side.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to show the different parts of, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do AoE. Oh, crap, I can't get him. I got a whetstone. Hold on.
Yeah,
oh, man, I missed with my arrow. Damn. All right. And
trap him. Yeah.
Okay, you got a bomb? No, I used up all my bombs. Oh, no, he passed out. See, you need all of that. You want to feel that. You want to be able to show that visually. Because it's a visual medium.
You're going to want should this be a movie of solo heroism against monsters, or do we get a team up?
It should be a team. It absolutely should be a team. You have your protagonist. That's fine. Because, what was it, Monster Hunter 3 or 4, you know, the most basic plot. Hi, I'm new to this village. I heard you guys had monsters. Here, let me go ahead and see if I can solve your problem. Oh, there's people here to help me out. Thanks. Come help me fight this monster.
You want to see a variety of different weapon fighting styles, maybe?
Yes.
A hammer and a sword and, what was the horn?
The horn, the switch axe.
Switch axe.
You're going to want all of that. You might want some location jumping if you want. Really, I see this kind of thing, which is why I bring up Peter Jackson. This kind of thing, to me, screams New Zealand filming. Because, you know, it looks very coastal, maybe even Hawaii, somewhere around there, something that's nice and scenic. Like, man, if there weren't all these monsters around here, I totally would go vacationing.
Yeah, good thing they don't actually exist and you can actually go to those places.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to have those different parts of it. You have to have the music.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we've always said in different genres of things, music is key. You know it, you hear it, you want to feel something there. When you're in the middle of battle, and especially if you're familiar with these things, you're going to expect to hear certain things. When you defeat the monster, you're going to want to hear the victory theme.
Yeah, I still just want to hear the barbecue music. That's literally the only thing
Somebody has to have the barbecue music going.
Yeah,
That's got to be a thing. You can have somebody eat too much before they get into a battle and they go out there and puke. That's entirely possible. But really, I don't think you want to blow your complete visual load with the first movie. You want to franchise this mess. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
So
you want bigger and badder monsters as time goes on. Bigger threats. Yeah, bigger threats. That would be good.
Because I want to say I would prefer something that was very intimate as, say, because some people differ on this movie, Reign of Fire. I don't know if you remember that with Christian Bale.
Yes.
Something that feels like that, where that's about the right size of a monster, and it's a very human, hey, I don't have anything special here, but let me get something together. Let me craft something. Show the crafting process without making it look cumbersome.
You have to probably put it into a montage.
Yeah, there'll be montages.
Because otherwise the crafting system... Because otherwise the grinding for getting armor and then crafting it, you're right, that would be way too cumbersome to show in a movie.
Because the last thing just do a throwback, not the complete thing, just a throwback of, hey man, how come you don't come out with us? We're going after all these other monsters right now. Man, I would go out with you, but I can't. My helmet's not done. I mean, you guys want to help me get the stuff I need for my helmet? Because that would be great. Like, just have that as a joke. Have it as a joke. Don't actually bring it up.
Only do it once.
Yeah, only do it once.
Not again, because there's just not... It doesn't make sense. It'd be way too long and too cumbersome and too far of a way to go to be like, remember how this is a thing in the game? That's too much.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and wait and see what exactly is going to happen with this movie. Hopefully they do go ahead with it, because I think, like you said, there's enough freedom for them to have a screenwriter come in and tell a decent enough story without ruining anything, because they've got the room to work.
Yeah.
So here's hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for it. I think it could be a thing. I hope they actually get a good director and a good studio on it, because it could totally work. If they actually manage to do it, it would totally work.
All right. Get out of here.
Okay, I'm working on it. But what's our next thing?
Okay, our next story has to do with Fox getting the rights to... Okay, this is the weird thing, because the first part makes sense. Of course, there is the legendary, still going strong at 93 years old, my God, Stan Lee.
My God!
My God, Stan Lee! My God! So Fox has acquired the rights to Stan Lee's life story. That part, okay, makes sense. I would absolutely watch that movie. This man has provided so much joy and entertainment to my life personally. I absolutely want... Wait, what's this? It's going to be an action-adventure movie.
Yeah, I don't entirely understand that, unless they're doing something real artsy here, and they're like, alright, we need to go inside Stan Lee's head and see what he sees from his perspective, and like... What you do is you've got this young Stan Lee who's just coming up with Spider-Man, right? And he's standing in the middle of New York, and you see what he's seeing in his head, the possibility of heroes everywhere, and there's action all around him, and he looks around him and he's like, that's what I gotta write. I gotta write about Spider-Man. And he goes and he pens this story.
Well, because here's the odd part about it. They're saying that the tone they're going for is similar to Kingsman. And I'm just over here like, what? Like, can you explain that to me? And they're saying they want something that's a little campy, with over-the-top scenarios and one-liners. Now, one-liners coming out of Stan Lee, absolutely fine. The man can say whatever he wants, put it on a shirt. You have to come up with a reason for him to... You don't even need to come up with a reason. He'll say, Excelsior, any chance he gets, because that's Stan Lee. We're used to that. Now, as far as going over his life story as it is, I mean, his life is interesting, but it's not... action-adventure interesting, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, well, it's a completely different kind of interesting.
Right, because, he grew up from meager means, was growing up there in New York, served in World War II for a bit, then moved over to Atlas Comics, which eventually became Marvel Comics, went up the ranks from just working as somebody refilling the inkwells for the comic drawers, to
the artists.
They're
called artists. The
comic
drawers.
The comic drawers.
The comic drawers, Josh.
Yes, the comic drawers who do the picture books. He would refill the inkwells for the artists there, and then he would clean up some of the pencil lines, and then eventually he got to writing stories. He's actually the guy... people think, he invented No, he didn't invent Captain America. What he did invent, he's the guy who came up with Captain America using his shield as a throwing weapon. That was him.
Yes.
And then from there, of course, he became... a writer for different stories. Of course, most famously, he's invented, with help, of course, Spider-Man, the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, the X-Men, all of the staple big blockbuster movies that we take for granted now, this all goes back to this man and the help he had with the likes of Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, all that in the heyday of Marvel Comics, which really propelled it to a whole nother level of storytelling as far as comics were concerned.
Now don't confuse us when I questioned why do you want to make this look like Kingsman. It's not because Kingsman was bad. I loved Kingsman. I do not understand that mesh.
I don't understand the parallel.
Yeah, I don't understand pairing it with Stan Lee. That part doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing wrong with Kingsman. So.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, showing... I think it would be well enough on its own to show just Stan Lee's life story. To show what it was like actually having to come up with these interesting characters, show characters who are human. For as much as they have superpowers, they're flawed people. They're people who can be down on themselves. They're people that you could relate to. That's the whole reason Spider-Man became their biggest selling comic book. Because people could relate.
Because he couldn't catch a break.
No, he couldn't.
He's not allowed to be happy.
No, he's not. I mean, but that was the thing. That was what made him relatable. Who are you going to relate to? Billionaire Bruce Wayne? Or poor down on his luck Peter Parker? Like, man, I'm just trying to pay for school right now.
Yeah,
like, I got my aunt on my case right now. I got to be home by 8. But then I got to deal with the Scorpion. Right? Like, how am I gonna juggle this? That feels legitimately like something like, aside from the Scorpion thing, unless you moonlight as a superhero, that's something that's relatable. But I would absolutely love just to see that movie. And then saying you're going to add action adventure to that, how?
Yeah.
Because the action and adventure is on the page.
That's why I'm saying it's got to be artsy. That's the only way I can picture it happening.
I guess so.
That it has to become artsy. So this also makes me question then. Two things. One, why did it go to Fox rather than going to Marvel?
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. And then two, I realize Fox has had rights to Marvel movies before. Like,
right.
I get it.
I get that part.
But at the same time, I wonder then, since you're trying to get the rights to Stan Lee's life story, does that also mean you have to get the rights to use all of these Marvel characters in a Fox property again?
Oh, you're right. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. That's a whole nother bag of worms there. Because you can't bring up Stan Lee without bringing up these characters. And admittedly, Fox only has like 3 rights left because they're losing most of them because they're doing horrible jobs with it. I mean, you can mention Deadpool, but he didn't create Deadpool even though he had a cameo in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting factor to think about there. Now, I'm wondering though, based off a couple of months ago, you remember that was that manip going around of Bryan Cranston as Stan Lee. I don't think that's a bad choice.
Yeah,
you could do a lot worse.
But you've got to go through a longer span of Stan Lee's life.
That also
you've got to
is
go
true.
younger than Bryan Cranston at a certain point.
But at a certain point, you go with Bryan Cranston.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, come on, that's like Oscar stuff right there.
Maybe but we're talking action adventure too. I don't know.
Bryan Cranston can do. He dealt with Godzilla.
He can, but did Godzilla get an Oscar?
No, but Bryan Cranston should have gotten something for only being in the movie for 30 minutes.
Yeah, but he didn't, so...
No, he didn't.
I rest my case.
I'm just
He's
saying.
He's allowed to be in it, it's just not going to get this movie an award. That's not what's going to do it.
I'm saying if you did it right.
Yeah, okay, I guess, whatever. Alright.
So it's going to be interesting to see just what they do with this, because, yes, Stan Lee movie, absolutely fine. People will flock to see it because... Not just speaking for myself, untold numbers of people since the 1960s up to now have been touched by the work this man has worked on. We've all heard the stories, and we only talk about it so much because we don't want to make ourselves sad. There's going to be the day where you're going to get to the end of a Marvel movie, and it's going to say, in memory of, and then his face is going to be there, and his name's going to be there, and the world will go silent.
I'm certain that's why they're like, we better get the rights to his life story right now. Like, they're already thinking about it before it gets there. It's horrible to talk about burying a person before they're gone. That's not even something that... Like, I feel really kind of sick.
No, I totally get that.
Portraying it in that light. I almost don't want to talk about it anymore. But
admittedly, for 93 years, that's a rich... I wish I could be as lucky to get to that point in my own life. to be able to look back and say,
maybe you can, Josh. You say I wish like it's not gonna happen, but you don't know.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying.
You don't know.
I'm just saying I don't write comic books.
I know, but you could.
I guess I could.
You could. It's not too late to try. Like, when did he get started? He didn't get started.
Well, he got started super young over at Marvel Comics. He was working over there at 19. He was already an editor.
Yeah, but he wasn't writing yet.
Yeah, but still, he was in there.
Yeah, but, you know...
But then again, things were different back then.
Yeah.
A lot less people in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this, see what they do with it. I mean...
We'll definitely have follow-ups in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to be watching this like a hawk.
Not a question, yeah.
Okay, and then with the time left, we're going to give you guys as much information as we can out of the Tokyo Game Show, which is going on...
Right now.
Over in Japan, right now.
Right now, it's day 2, it's business day, day 2, and then Saturday and Sunday are the public days. All of day 1 is already come and gone, and so actually right now, if I'm not mistaken, they're talking about Biohazard 7 or Resident Evil 7. Biohazard 7 Resident Evil is the Japanese subtitle.
Which is, aren't we doing it as Resident Evil 7 Biohazard
over
here?
I don't know, we might be. I don't know. So they're talking about that right this second. They already showed a trailer for it. I just wanted to talk about that while it was still kind of fresh in my head, because while we were talking, I was watching that trailer, and everybody's talking about it being, Resident Evil meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's the truth from what I just saw in this trailer that they just showed, as we just saw like 4 or 5 people sitting around a dinner table, and then one crazy guy gets up with a knife and then hacks away at a dude's arm, and then it's just hanging there, dangling, and I'm just like, oh my god, what is this? This doesn't look like Resident Evil anymore, but it looks scary, which is what Resident Evil is! I don't even know.
Well, inherently, you realize after a certain point, you do kind of have to do certain things to revive the franchise. And admittedly, I'm a little happier if it's not so gun-shooty as the last couple of installments have been.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It should be more puzzly. I think that's fair to say. So aside from that, because that came and went all day, there's going to be stuff that we unfortunately don't get to talk about, but there's plenty of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff came out of Square Enix, for example. I know you had, as one of the follow-up things, I've at least got a picture of something else.
Yeah, pull up the picture here. So there's this Final Fantasy 15 customized PlayStation.
Where did I put that
they've got up. Now, admittedly, I'm not as much looking forward to the game as you are, but that's a pretty sweet PS4 right there. I'm not gonna lie.
It looks alright, but I don't need a new PS4. I don't even want the PS4 Pro, quite honestly. But and we talked about that before, but that's because it's all the 4K stuff, and we don't have a TV that can display.
Yeah, but I'm not even saying you want. I'm saying that's nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty. I would take it if somebody handed it to me.
Now, admittedly, it's got a high price tag, like $550 US.
Yeah. What does it come bundled with the game?
It comes with the game, 1 terabyte hard drive, comes with the controller, and a couple of DLCs, the Royal Raiment outfit, Masamune, and Leviathan Regalia skin.
A bunch of not things that are going to heavily affect your gameplay.
More cosmetics than anything else.
Stuff. So Final Fantasy 15 had a new trailer that launched that had a whole bunch more of the story revealed, and I'm just sitting here like, why didn't you guys give us this story before? Because I've been terrified that the story's going to be bad this whole time, and now as time goes on, I'm feeling more and more relieved because the story doesn't look like it's going to be crap, but they had me worried for the majority of 10 years. Why did they do that? And then also released more footage from the voice actors.
Yes.
Which gave more insight on the development of the game as well. Then other stuff came out from Square Enix, like Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Why is that the name of this damn game?
Final Chapter Prologue HD Remix Turbo Electric Boogaloo ×7 divide by 4.
Which... Yay, it's a new trailer, and if you have no idea what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 2
welcome to the club.
Or in any of the 80 bajillion spin-offs, then this trailer will make no sense to you. Also, the game has been delayed. Like every other Square Enix game, this game has been delayed. Now, granted, it's not just Square Enix who's delaying games. where is that? The Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian
Also got delayed. Again. So people have been waiting for that for the better part of 10 years also. But there apparently is new Tekken 7 gameplay,
yes.
which looks kind of cool. We've got Akuma from Street Fighter in it, and it's Akuma versus Heihachi, which we've seen before, but that's an advertisement. I was trying to bring it up so I could show you.
I told you to mute it. I told you.
You can't just mute the advertisement, Josh. I mean, you can, but I had to reload it, and it doesn't come that way.
All right.
All right. But yes, Akuma fighting Heihachi, and yeah. So,
and then we got a couple of things out of Bandai Namco. We got to look at their new Muso Stars crossover game, which is crossing over different people from the different
Muso franchises.
Muso titles. One of them being
yeah.
you've got Ninja Gaiden characters in there now. You can play as Ryu Hayabusa
from Ninja Gaiden. Yeah.
Which, admittedly, having him there in a Muso setting sounds freaking awesome to me. Because you can see him do all this massive field damage there. Mm-hmm. They've also got a new Gundam Versus game coming out for the PS4. Looks even better with the graphics, all the different Gundams you can pick from there. They've also got the Berserk Muso game coming out, which looks better than the current series. I agree with most people who have that sentiment. So a lot of that to look forward to if you like Muso gameplay.
So another interesting piece of news that's coming out of Konami is related to that new Metal Gear Survive game. We're going to be getting...
You mean Metal Gear, what the hell is this?
Yeah, so we're going to be getting gameplay of that on Saturday. That will be going live at like 2 a.m. our time on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll be up.
Maybe.
Probably.
And supposedly... it is more tied to Metal Gear 5 than we thought.
I call bull.
Alright.
I'm calling bull right now.
So yeah, and there's going to be a demo. It's got brand new information about the upcoming title. And that's about all the knowledge there is to know about there. Yes. Other than that, right now the Tokyo Game Show is only so packed because, again, it's... the business days. PlayStation is pushing PlayStation VR real hard right now. People are talking about it like it's still too early to tell whether or not VR is going to be a big thing that everybody's going to want to get on board for. To me, it still sounds like it's an expensive venture, but Sony is really convinced they want to do this. Square Enix, of course, is pushing Final Fantasy 15 real hard. There's playable demos. Sean here in the chat is over at Tokyo Game Show right now and has just been playing Final Fantasy 15. There's some reports that loading times are taking kind of a long time. I wonder if that's just because it's what's playable there at the show, but that doesn't give...
that's still not a very good thing to have going when you're demoing things. You want... peak performance, that way you can get more people involved and more people interested in your product, and if things are lagging out, then who really cares?
Yeah. Persona 5 just launched today, so Persona 5's got a huge presence over at Tokyo Game Show right now.
We don't get that over here for several months, so people be very wary over on social media for spoilers on that.
And they're selling, like, school uniforms and protagonist glasses, tons of Biohazard stuff on sale, of course.
Actually, you bring up Capcom. I didn't want to miss this one. Capcom's working on again, because we were talking about VR, a kaiju monster simulator game where you will be stomping around in VR as a giant monster.
That's pretty cool, actually.
I would try that. Admittedly,
yeah.
I'm not very big on VR. I'm very kitschy when it comes to that. You need a gimmick.
You think it's really kitschy, yeah.
Yeah, I do, but like that sounds like something I would actually want to see. Like, yeah, I want to knock over that building. Waggle my dongle and then knock over a building with my tail. I assume I have a tail.
Yeah, possibly. It sounds like a thing that you can choose to have. On display, they have the outfit from the upcoming Resident Evil movie that Mila Jovovich wears in the movie.
Alice.
Yeah, Alice is just kind of hanging out there. So we remember from last year there were some pretty fantastic booths and displays of
None of them were bigger than Grand Blue Fantasy.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That was a giant pirate ship in the middle of this hangar.
Now, the next best thing that I'm seeing is that Capcom they're really pushing Biohazard 7, and
right.
so there's this big old scary looking Biohazard house with this
hillbilly looking guy.
Yeah, and I believe this is the same dude from that trailer that we just saw put out just within the last half hour, as he must be one of the main characters in the game now. So, stuff about Mafia 3, there's stuff about the next Yakuza game, excuse me, that
yeah,
I guess beat Takeshi's in it.
Yes.
He throws a baby for some reason.
You could throw babies?
Yeah, it's on the front page, like Kotaku's spreading it around. There's this
How did I miss that?
Alright, it's this GIF right here, if I can... Yeah, he's throwing a baby, right? If it'll load, there we go. He's throwing this baby.
He threw a baby,
and I don't understand why. I don't know what that means. But yeah, he's throwing a baby. So.
Beat Takeshi threw a baby. Okay, fine. I'll play it just based on that.
Yeah.
You can throw babies.
There are 2 PlayStation VR spots on the floor of Tokyo Game Show.
Good, because last time there was only one, and there was no way I was getting in on that. There was way too many people crowding it.
I'm surprised at this photo of this Minecraft booth. Tons of Minecraft merch. I just haven't seen very many Japanese players of Minecraft.
Unfortunately, that was something that we had to put up with last year, because they have merch. Oh, do they have merch there? Mm-hmm. They have all the merch that you want there. Unfortunately, the prices are very high because it's an expo. So, like, my problem over here is that, they've got stuff there that I want, because I don't think there's enough Overwatch merch, and they've got Overwatch merch over there, but I'm not over there, and even if I was over there, I don't think I'd be able to afford it.
Right.
That sucks.
You can apparently buy Dreamcast hoodies and skateboards and
wow, that would have been
messenger bags.
That would have been great, like, 18 years ago.
Capcom is selling 80 bajillion different costumes and prints and stuff, as usual. Giant people in giant feline costumes
for Monster
Hunter, which, just ties directly into our earlier story. Twitch and Intel have booths. We saw the Twitch booth last year, and I feel like Twitch is finally starting to have presence over in Japan. Really, most of this stuff is console gaming, but
primarily, yes.
It feels like if PAX is all PC Master Race, then Tokyo Game Show is all, but consoles are still here too. But it's kind of starting to, PC is finally starting to get a foothold in Japan for the first time in a really long time, where this is a country that is so heavily into consoles and into mobile games.
Right.
And PC needs to figure out how to get that foothold, and I guess they're finally starting to do it. Apparently, there is a Monster Hunter booth where you can do PlayStation VR in a big old green screen and wear a costume if you like. And
tying back to our first story again.
And you can look like you're actually hunting monsters. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I want
also, Dragon Quest slime cookies are.
That makes sense because they're celebrating. This is the 30th anniversary of Dragon Quest.
Yes.
So they're going to be pushing that really hard here at Tokyo Game Show. If you go by the Square Enix booth.
So these are just a number of things that are to be seen over at Tokyo Game Show right now. We still need to. Nintendo's got pretty much no presence. That's not too surprising.
But we've been over that before. They've got their own Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, they do their own Nintendo Directs. So the NX is not making itself known here at Tokyo Game Show. I'm not shocked about that. There's still 2 more days worth of Tokyo Game Show to come, and I'm sure we'll play catch-up with that next week, too. Man, I want to go
We'll play catch-up. We might play Mustard.
I'm ending the show, Josh.
Okay.
Thanks. You did this.
We're out of time.
You did this.
This is a mercy killing.
Fault.
This is a mercy killing.
Where's my picture? Okay, there it is. Alright, if you want to keep talking with us about what's going on at the Tokyo Game Show right now, though, if you're here with us live, cool, continue to stick with us for the next half an hour and we'll do Q&A time with you guys. So we're not ending for you. However, if you're watching us video on demand on YouTube, I'm sorry you weren't here. I wish you could be here. Please try and come down here next week when we're talking more about the Tokyo Game Show and our wrap-up of it, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time over here on twitch.tv/MarsGirl, and you can talk to all these cool people who will also be talking about the Tokyo Game Show, and it's going to be great.
Yes, and during the week you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at JoshKnight1st.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
And that having been said, that's been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys again next week.
Good night.